Welcome to Starhive. My name is Eyglo Óskarsdóttir and I am the head of channels here at Starhive. Today I'm going to show you around the Starhive platform. Starhive is a no-code platform where organizations can create internal tools to make day-to-day processes more productive. We all know that organizations struggle with scattered, rigid software solutions with duplicated data and limited customization. But with Starhive, anyone can create custom solutions in hours that are tailored to their needs. And every tool or app in Starhive is built on the same data, eliminating silos and increasing collaboration. Before we start, I want to touch on the definition of an asset. We define an asset or an object as a resource that is of interest for an organization. So depending on the organization, the particular object of interest can be fundamentally different. And that's why Starhive, the platform, can provide value to all organizations, to all industries, and also across all of your different teams within your organizations. So let's take a look at the basic functionality of Starhive for this video. I want to talk about the workspace first. So a workspace is the customer instance. And you can see the name of the workspace on the bottom left corner, where you can see that we are going to be using the Acme Corp workspace. If you have access to other workspaces or other Starhive instances, you will be able to see that by clicking on the name of that workspace to see any other workspaces that you might have access to. Each workspace has their own workspace settings. So when you go into the workspace settings, that workspace settings is going to be talking to that particular workspace that you were in before you were clicked on the workspace settings. But in a workspace, you also have spaces, which you can create manually by clicking on that plus icon, create a space. You can choose if the space is going to be restricted or if it's open for all users within that workspace. And you can also get help from creating the space or generating the space with AI. But within a space, you will also have types. And this is where your objects will be living in. And with Starhive, you can easily import your objects with the import functionality. You can also use our public APIs to import your objects, or even manually if you want to do it ad hoc. Once your assets are within Starhive, you will see a clear, simple overview of all of your assets, like you can see here in the object list view. And you can see the different columns that on the screen here. These are all the information that are associated to your objects. You can create as many, and this is something that we call attributes, and you can create as many attributes as you want to set them up exactly how you like. But these, we have multiple or several attribute types available, which gives you the flexibility to enrich your object data with workflows, references, locations, calculations, and so much more. So let's just quickly take a look at the attributes that are available within the desktop and laptop types. So we can see some object references, attribute types. We can see some of the attributes are using workflows, some are using options, and the object references are then pointing to other types within Starhive, if that's in the same space or if that's in a different space within the same workspace. But going back to this overview here, we are now, like I said, in the list or the object list view. But if you are working with digital assets, you might also appreciate the gallery view, which gives you a great overview of all of your assets in a more graphical way. So this is a great view for any PIM use cases, product information management use cases, for example. We also have a timeline view, and also a board view, just so you're aware of that. When you're creating a timeline view, you will need to make sure that you have a start attribute, so a start date, and also an end date. And for the board view, you always need to have a workflow attribute available that is going to pull up the different statuses for your objects. But let's go back to list view. Since some of our customers are using Starhive for millions of their assets, finding a particular object or an asset or a particular bundle of objects that meet a certain criteria, finding that is definitely key when you have so many thousands or millions of objects within your Starhive workspace. So what those users will be using is our StarQL query language. And StarQL is easy syntax and autocomplete query language that makes it very easy to look for the objects that you are in need for. So let's create a new StarQL. I'm going to click on the create filter, and here I'm able to add my StarQL. I'm going to look for all laptop or desktops that are currently available, so are unassigned with the unassigned status, and have the Zoom software installed. I click on search, and here are the 4 different objects that are available and all have the Zoom software installed. If you're happy with that particular query and you want to be able to reuse that in the future, you can go ahead and save that filter, give it a name, and then you are all good to go and can come back to this type and reuse this filter. Now, assets are not just items in isolation. They have relationships and dependencies to other objects. And with Starhive, you can create as many references or relationships as you need to see how all of your references and objects relate to each other. We have something that we call object graph. So let me remove this filter and discard. Here we go. And let's jump into this particular laptop. Here on the right hand side, we can see the object graph view, and here we can see if let's give it an owner as well, so we can associate this laptop to their new owner, Ali. And within the graph view, you can see that it has different relationship with different objects from different types. And by clicking on these other different related objects, we can get more overview from how these objects relate to each other, both inbound relationships and outbound relationships. You can expand this view if you want to have get a bigger view and a better picture, to see also expanding the relationship overview. This is also what we call the object detail view, where you can see all the attributes and the attribute values for this particular object. And here below the relationship graph or the graph object, we can see also if this particular object has any association with a Jira ticket. So Starhive has an integration with Jira, which allows all Starhive objects to be visible within an issue in Jira or Atlassian Jira. We are working on additional integrations as well, so you might see that this view will expand in the near future. But also good to mention, we have the history or the audit history available within the object detail view, where you can see if anything has changed, who changed the object, what information changed, from what was the old value to what is the new value, and also the timestamp of that change. Another important thing to track of objects could be life cycle of an object as they move from acquisition towards end of life. And you can do that with what we call workflows in Starhive to represent different life cycles or different statuses or stages of your object. Compared to competing solutions, Starhive gives you the possibility for assets to participate in different workflows simultaneously. So let's go into the workflow setup. So I'm going to go into the workspace settings, and just so you're aware, depending on what user role you have, this page might look a bit different from user to user. But here we have the workflows. You can create multiple workflows. And to give you a look here, a workflow is always consisting of states or statuses and also transitions. You can create multiple stages for a workflow and also multiple transitions. So this could look very different from one workflow to the other. And for more heavy lifting capabilities, Starhive comes with a built-in automation engine, and you can set up different automation rules to update your objects automatically based on certain triggers or certain events that happen. And let's take a look at that real quick as well. And this is vital for many use cases and could help you and your team to, first of all, keep your objects up to date, but also helps you to eliminate a lot of the repetitive tasks that you or your team members are doing on a daily, weekly, or monthly basis. So an automation has a when, if, then rule or flow. And when you're creating a new automation, Starhive is supporting an automation trigger when an object is created and when an object is updated. So when you are creating a new automation, you need to identify or define what the trigger is and also which type, Starhive type you are working with in this automation. So here we have selected that when an object is updated in desktop and laptops, we want to, let's say, have an attribute changing. So we can say we want to have an attribute change status from, let's actually do set an attribute. So we want an attribute owner to change to Ali when a desktop is updated. Let's go rewind back here. We're gonna go and say when an object is updated and when status changes from any value to a retired value, meaning that the laptop or the desktop in the desktop and laptop type is going to a retired stage, we want the owner of that laptop, if there is an owner, to go from an owner equals X to an empty value, since no owner should be on that laptop if the status goes to a retired state. Then we're going to save this. We are able to give it a name, and we're also, when we're ready, we can toggle the status to turn on or turn off when we're ready to activate this automation. The last thing for this demo, I want to talk about interfaces. Interfaces is something that you can create within your workspace, and you can create or add different types of widgets to your interface. We have multiple widgets available today. These are gonna grow in the near future, but just to give you a quick look of an interface that we currently have populated, this is an interface that I created to give a complete overview or graphical overview of all of the IT assets assignment within the Acme Corp. So here you're able to share this interface with your teammates where they can see the available laptops or the available mobile devices, the different laptops that are missing specific software, or the count of software installed across all the different laptops to get an understanding of which software is currently being used the most, and so on and so forth. You're able to manage these interfaces. This is a grid view, so you're able to move your widgets around very easily and customize this view however you want. And then on the top right, you can also see that currently this interface is restricted, but I'm able to open it up and invite other users to view this data. I hope this was helpful. I look forward to sharing more in the next video. Thank you.